Viewer discretion is advised. The content in this video includes historical events and narratives that may be disturbing or unsettling to some audiences. Please proceed with caution. Discover the untold stories of Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, from legendary escapes that baffled experts to eerie myths shrouded in mystery. Uncover what really happened behind the walls of America's most notorious island prison. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary: Escapes, Myths, and Reality. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, often referred to simply as Alcatraz or the Rock, is a small island located in the chilly waters of San Francisco Bay. Originally used as a military fortification, it was transformed into a federal prison in 1934, an institution that would become synonymous with isolation and penitence. The story of Alcatraz is not just a narrative of criminals and guards, but a solemn chapter in the history of American correctional systems. The decision to convert Alcatraz from a military prison to a federal penitentiary was part of a broader initiative during the 1930s to reform the federal prison system. This initiative was spearheaded by J. Edgar Hoover, the ambitious director of the FBI, who envisioned Alcatraz as a fortress for the most incorrigible criminals, a prison that would house offenders deemed too dangerous for other institutions. Alcatraz officially opened its doors on July 1, 1934. The first batch of prisoners arrived with high security, transported from other prisons under the cover of secrecy. Among them were notorious criminals like Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Franklin Stroud, the so-called Birdman of Alcatraz. These men were among the first to experience the harsh realities of life on the Rock. Life on Alcatraz was deliberately rigid and monotonous. The regime was designed to be punitive, a rule of silence was enforced, interactions between inmates were minimal, and the cells were small and cold, with only a bed, a desk, and a toilet. The surrounding cold waters of the Pacific Ocean were a natural barrier, making escape seem impossible. The daily routine was strict. Prisoners would wake at sunrise, and after a quick breakfast, they were put to work. Jobs included cooking, cleaning, laundry, and other maintenance tasks within the prison. Some worked in the industries building, which included a tailor shop, a cobbler's shop, and a model shop where inmates crafted various items. Despite the harsh conditions, Alcatraz was also a place of order and, surprisingly, safety compared to other prisons of the time. The ratio of guards to prisoners was the highest of any American penitentiary, and with strict rules limiting inmate interactions, violence amongst prisoners was rare. However, the isolation and strict regime took a mental toll on the inmates. Some suffered psychological issues, exacerbated by the foghorns, the cold, and the sight of San Francisco's lights twinkling in the distance, a city so near yet impossibly far for those incarcerated on Alcatraz. The prison's reputation for security was challenged by several escape attempts. The most famous of these occurred in 1962, when Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin managed to break out of their cells by widening the ventilation ducts in their walls. They left dummy heads made of papier-mâché in their beds to fool the guards during nighttime checks. Their bodies were never found, leading to speculation that they might have survived the treacherous swim to the mainland. Despite the legend of Alcatraz as escape-proof, the facility was not without its flaws. The saltwater corroded the building, and maintaining the structure was costly. Furthermore, the rigid conditions were increasingly viewed as outdated and inhumane, sparking debates on prison reform. In 1963, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy ordered Alcatraz to be closed, citing high operation costs and its deteriorating facilities. The last 27 prisoners were transferred out in March of that year, marking the end of an era for the Rock. After the closure of the penitentiary, the island remained empty for several years, until it was occupied by Native American activists from 1969 to 1971. This occupation was part of a wider movement protesting the U.S. government's treatment of Native Americans and brought significant attention to their cause. Post-occupation, Alcatraz was turned over to the National Park Service. In 1973, it was opened to the public as part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Today, the island is a complex symbol representing both a grim period in penal history and a site of Native American empowerment. Tourists who visit Alcatraz today are struck by its eerie atmosphere, a lingering sense of isolation and desolation. They walk the same cell blocks and corridors as the inmates, listening to audio recordings that include voices of former guards and prisoners, echoing the past and the present. In popular culture, Alcatraz has taken on almost mythical status. It has been the subject of numerous films, documentaries, and books, each adding layers to its legend. These portrayals often explore the themes of isolation, justice, and the indomitability of the human spirit. Yet, behind the Hollywood dramatizations, the reality of Alcatraz is rooted in somber truths about the American penal system. It stands as a reminder of a bygone approach to punishment, extreme isolation, and security at the expense of rehabilitation. The story of Alcatraz, with its layers of history and its evolution from a feared penitentiary to a tourist attraction and cultural icon, reflects broader shifts in societal attitudes towards crime and punishment. It reminds us of the ongoing dialogue about the purpose of imprisonment, whether it is merely to punish or to rehabilitate and reintegrate. In its silence, Alcatraz speaks volumes about the shadows of human nature and the systems we construct to contain it. As the fog rolls in and covers the island, it seems almost to disappear, a ghostly apparition in San Francisco Bay, holding its stories close, a relic of an era both feared and fascinated by the limits of human containment. Thanks for diving into the intriguing history of Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary with us. If you enjoyed uncovering the secrets and stories of America's most infamous prison, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating content, and share this video to keep the legends alive. Comment below with your thoughts or any questions you have about Alcatraz. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries that history has to offer.